For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? In the King James and New King James, we read, great day of his wrath, while in other translations it reads, great day of their wrath. I believe it's proper to say their as opposed to his, based on the passage that precedes Revelation 6:17. Calling to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him who is seated on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. When we compare this passage with chapters 4 and 5 of Revelation, we find that God is the one seated on the throne, while Christ is the one who takes the seven-sealed scroll from his hand. So it's their wrath, not just his wrath. Since Christ is one with the Father and executes his perfect will, this makes complete sense. There are two words rendered wrath in the book of Revelation, and their definitions correlate. The first, as seen in Revelation 6:17, is the transliteration orge, and is found just 6 times. The second is thumos, which is found 10 times. The first means desire, as a reaching forth or excitement of the mind. The second means passion, as if breathing hard. God's wrath is God's passion. 6 is the number of man and his enmity with his Maker, while 10 is the number of divine order being reestablished one way or another through the judgment of the law, as pictured by the 10 Commandments. The number that portrays that time of judgment when men either receive reward or come under divine judgment. One way or another, the law must be fulfilled and the divine order reestablished. Added together, we have 16, the number denoting love. These meanings bring us to the following. For the law brings wrath. Here we find the source of God's wrath or passion, which is his law. And why is this the source? Because the law, having proceeded from God, reflects his nature and passion for righteousness, his desire for you and me, rooted in love. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. The law of God is much more than do's and don'ts. Where most think of God's law as do this or else, it is better seen as this is not good for you. Think about it. Does a father and mother set down a law in a home for their own sake or the sake of the child? The source of God's wrath or passion may be the law, but his motive is love. And this is where traditional thinking gets us in trouble. God is mad, very mad. No, he is not. If he were a man, then this might be true. But he is not a man. And the fact that he has designed everything as it stands, why would he then get angry at it? That's like saying we get mad when the device we're using works exactly as it should. Now, that being said, many passages speak of God's anger or wrath, hence the reason for this study. But I am inclined to think that the presentation of wrath or anger is more for our sake than his. In other words, we see through a human filter and feelings, but he does not. So he gives us the human view so we may understand. The machine is working exactly as it should. Having set the law in place, it brings wrath. What does? The law. So where is God in this? He designed the law. God is the machine maker, but the machine is the law. And once you designed it, he turned the machine on and let it work. He then walked away and rested, letting the machine take care of business. And the electricity that keeps the machine running, that's love. Always love. For God is love, and everything our Heavenly Father designed flows from this love. There's a marked difference between I'm angry and want my way, and I'm passionate about wanting what is best for you. Most see the first and not the second, but God is not a narcissist. So, the next argument might be that we are no longer under the law, but under grace. But stop and think about this. Without law, there is no need for grace, for as Paul stated, where there is no law, there is no transgression. Is it not true that mercy is most needed when a transgression occurs? Of course. So grace doesn't nullify the law. Rather, it enhances the spiritual nature of the law, that is, right behavior flowing out of love. Now, here's the next important understanding we need to grasp: the principle of sowing and reaping. Why is this important? Because this principle is the underlying foundation of the law, specifying to you and me that there are consequences to our actions. Isn't that the purpose of a law? Yes, and this is where it gets really interesting. As I said earlier, the machine is the law. But it would be better to say that the machine is the divine principle of sowing and reaping, the underlying foundation of all that the law entails. This is why our beginning as a living soul is immediately followed by the placing of mankind into the Garden of Eden. In other words, God designed us and then placed us into the working of this principle. To better understand, think of the principle of sowing and reaping as the core of an onion, while the law and its details are all the layers surrounding this core. When we look at the core, we see the law. When we look at the details surrounding it, we still see the law. When we bring all the layers together like pieces of a puzzle, we gain a better understanding of the law of God as a whole. In Acts 10, Peter told Cornelius and his household, "In truth, I perceive that God shows no partiality, but in every nation whoever fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him." Take a few moments to think about what Peter said. In every nation, no exceptions, whoever fears him and works righteousness is accepted by him. But what about the gospel? What about receiving Jesus Christ? Think about these questions in light of the following. For there is no partiality with God. For as many as have sinned without law will also perish without law, and as many as have sinned in the law will be judged by the law. For not the hearers of the law are just in the sight of God, but the doers of the law will be justified. For when Gentiles, who do not have the law, by nature do the things in the law, these, although not having the law, are a law to themselves, who show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and between themselves, their thoughts accusing or else excusing them, in the day when God will judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ, according to my gospel. In agreement with Peter, Paul said, "There is no partiality with God," and then clarified that for those who do not have the law, but do by nature the things in it, it becomes a law to themselves. In other words, everyone reaps what they sow, either good or bad. But wait a minute. Paul went on to say that God judges the secrets of men by Jesus Christ, so doesn't that mean they must accept him? No, for that's like saying we must have the name of the machine before the machine will work. The machine was in motion before the need for faith came. Jesus Christ is the divine expression of the spiritual nature of the law, which is love. And like our Father, Christ is not a narcissistic being who must receive recognition and accolades for every move he makes. This idea was hatched by the carnal minds of men because it is difficult for us to perceive that God and Christ love us for the sake of love itself. No wonder Jesus taught us to love our enemies, do good to them, and lend, hoping for nothing in return. That's it for this study, but be sure to join me for the next as we continue our look into the wrath of God. Please feel free to subscribe and leave your comments. Thank you for being a part of Grain of Wheat Publishing.